Wraith Talks.
Yes, guys, it's your boy Mix, and we're back for Wraith Talks episode 15. And today we've got a really special guest coming on today. It's a bit different from what the normal guests we've had on before, but nonetheless, I want to welcome you a very special guest who's going to be coming in now. Hello.
Hi.
You all right?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for coming in.
No problem.
So obviously, for people that don't know, your name's Melissa Shervington.
Yeah.
You specialise in boutique properties.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for people that don't know what that exactly is, would you mind giving a little insight towards that for them?
Yeah, sure. So I specialise in marketing mainly, which leads to selling premium homes.
Nice.
So I'm a boutique style estate agent, but I don't like to go under the typical estate agent label. So I guess my superpower, if you like, is how I market homes. So it's the special touches, which then leads to inquiries, which then leads to a sale.
Oh, nice.
So that's it in a nutshell.
So with the marketing side of it, how does that fall into like the whole sale element? Like, is it like a whole package that you provide for the client, for example?
Yeah, so like any traditional agent, you list a property, you put it on Rightmove, Zoopla, you get inquiries, you do viewings. But the better a home is presented, the more inquiries you get. So that's where I spend a lot of my time and effort. So that might be professional photography. Sometimes I'm rolling with 3 photographers, one for video, one for lifestyle shots, one for like the wider angle photos of each room. Magazine style brochures, so we create a very, very different style brochure for each house that I market.
Okay.
Each house has its own brand. So we're talking, if you think premium, like £1 million plus, they deserve to be marketed in the best light. So each home would have a logo, like colour designed themed magazine style brochure, photography, video. Like I literally do everything I can to get that home maximum exposure, so that when it goes on the market, inquiries roll in.
And it's presented to its best, because obviously brochures and stuff, like you don't really have that like on a normal house sale. Like you're going to sell your house, you're just going to think, oh, I'll just put it on Rightmove or something. But you're actually thinking 3 steps ahead upon what sort of clientele you want to attract to the home and all those things.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Like, I think I saw it, I think it was a month ago, a few weeks ago, you done a grade 2 listed house that was for sale in Sutton, was it?
Yeah, so grade 2 listed, which is difficult to sell because there's restrictions around what you can do with a grade 2 listed house. That's one that we sold. It was a throwback one, so I'd sold that before. Yeah. But yeah.
What's the restrictions with like grade listing for people that don't know about it?
There's grade 1 and there's grade 2. The laws are relaxing. So grade 1 is like super restricted. Like you can't extend, you can't change the windows. There's so much, it's about maintaining the character of that building.
So even down to the door, you can't even change the door?
You can, but it's got to be kept in line with the character of that building. So grade 2 listed it's eased, but still if you're replacing windows, you've got to stick to the style. So you can't just put double glazed UPVC windows into a grade 2 because it takes away the character and the look.
No, of course.
Yeah, you've literally got to go through a rigorous process to get the rights really to make those changes and extensions, and there's lots of restrictions.
Have you had any clients that have had success with that, or have they just mainly just kept within that jurisdiction?
I've not sold lots of grade 2 listed because they're few and far between.
Of course.
And it depends on the area. I specialise in Sutton Coldfield.
Yeah.
So there's not like a large amount of grade 2 listed properties. But I'm thinking about the clients who bought that house. I know that they did put in an application to get a further extension done.
Wow.
I need to follow up. I don't know if it's been granted, so you're just probing that thought. Maybe it's worth following up and seeing what actually happened
Definitely
with
is.
it.
You never know.
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously you mentioned like homes around Sutton mainly. So the average customer, is it like a family sort of like feel, or is it like a bachelor that's coming to buy the house? Or
it varies. At the minute, there's quite a few people migrating from London.
Oh, wow.
So if you think in London, a house that's worth £1 million here in London, you're getting probably like a 1-bed flat for the equivalent of a 5-bed detached here.
Yeah, you're getting much more worth.
It's a completely different market. So a lot of people have bought, like for example, their council house in London years ago, sold it now for like 1.5 to 3 mil, and now they're thinking, okay, I can buy a house for £1 mil or 1.5 in Birmingham and be left with money in my pocket. So lots of people are moving from London for that reason at the minute. So that's one market. You've got the Chinese market who are coming in as well. Lots of cash buyers. But it's mainly families.
No,
Yeah.
of course. It's interesting you said Chinese as well, because recently they have, like in Birmingham as well, like there's been a lot of increase of the Chinese community or Londoners. Do you reckon that's linked to HS2, or do you think it's just Birmingham thriving?
What's going on with HS2? Do we even know? Like it's so up and down at the minute. I think initially when it was announced, that spurred a lot of people to think, let's move. So travelling, commuting, you can live in Birmingham and get to work in 40 minutes, ideal. But I've heard since that HS2 won't stop at Euston, so it's a completely different stage. I can't remember where it is.
Oh,
so
no.
then you've still got a journey.
Yeah, because you've got a map around all the way to the centre still, which makes no sense.
That's just, I need to check the facts, but that's what my understanding is. So I think the concept of it drove people to think, let's move to Birmingham. That's kind of dropped because people are losing faith in what's happening and what the plans are. But I think generally, what's the attraction? Because Birmingham's a second city. Like, it's my town, it's my home. I love Birmingham. But when you look at Birmingham compared to London, it's worlds apart.
Yeah, there's still like a lot of increments to catch up on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the creative central of Birmingham, or that side of things, is sort of picking up. I mean, we've had HSBC move one of their main offices down here.
Yeah.
So there's that sort of thing going on. But isn't BBC meant to be moving to Digbeth now soon? They've got
Are they?
They're meant to have bought like a big warehouse and turn it into a big office holding.
Okay.
So they're moving out the mailbox now.
That's more your industry, isn't it? Like media. I don't know about that, but like if you look at the Commonwealth Games, all of those
huge.
Apartments were built in Perry Barr. An athlete didn't step foot into an apartment. Like nobody stayed in them. They've been derelict.
Where did they stay?
So now, I don't know what happened, but now we've ended up with like empty apartments
that
in
nobody
Perry Barr.
wants.
So now I think there's talks of either Birmingham City Council own them, they're going to sell them in bulk, or I've also heard they might go to social housing, which in one sense, there's a massive housing shortage. The rental market, like people can't afford rents. A lot of people can't get on the ladder to buy.
Yeah.
So social housing is their only option. It's needed. But then at the same time, that's not going to add value to property in the area. If anything, it's going to drop the value. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts.
It's interesting you said that as well, because that's been, I think for the last few years, that's been the conversation around Birmingham with the buy-to-lets and stuff, or letting in general. Like those sort of alleviations have affected the market or road prices.
Yeah, massively.
And would you say, because obviously in Sutton, I don't think you've faced as much adversity as someone in Edgbaston that's been having that issue. Or would you say it's sort of similar?
I think it's probably similar.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you know my journey. So I launched 10 years ago. I sold the business end of 2019. So when I sold, it was an asset sale. So I sold the lettings portfolio. So an asset sale is a part of the business, not its entirety. So I sold the lettings portfolio, then always planned to come back and carry on with sales. 3 months later, Corona hit, remember? The world went into lockdown. The following year, I was pregnant. So everything got put on hold.
Yes.
But I've seen in that 5-year span, rents go from like, let's say a 3-bed semi in Great Barr, for example, 750, 800, 850. Now they're like £1,200, £1,300 in 5 years.
That's a big increase.
It's a massive jump. I'm even thinking, hold on, should I have sold the portfolio? Do you know what I'm saying?
Because of that much increase.
The revenue increase is crazy. I mean, I don't regret, but you know, the revenue increase has gone through the roof.
Would you say like stuff like Airbnb has affected that sort of market as well, or not?
I think Airbnbs have saturated the market. Like there's every. I tell you what, even estate agents, you've got gurus. Yeah,
online. I've seen them.
So there's lots of gurus, and I'm not knocking them, but a lot of these gurus who train people in property, they make their money from the training, not the property itself.
Oh, so
That's
they're actually
where
just selling information, but not.
Yeah. Information is the fastest selling thing that you can get right now, because everybody wants to get somewhere in life. So therefore, if you can entice them in a webinar, it's free, and then at the end you've got an upsell. You go to an event and then you're upsold again, and there's nothing wrong in that, because I've done that myself. But I think what it's done is a lot of people have gone through these programs and come out and think that they're experts. So now, like, I'm a property expert. So now the market has been so saturated with Airbnbs in particular that you've got it used to be 70% occupancy rate. Now, I think they're like, and I'm not an Airbnb expert, this is just from conversations I've had with people I know, they're like 30-40% occupancy. Wow. So a lot of them are out of pocket. So it's still a good business model, but there's so many of them.
I was going to say, I mean, even if you go to London for the weekend, there's like about 100 Airbnbs in one area.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah. And people are now going back to hotels, whereas before, I think Airbnb was a better option.
Like the bougie option to a hotel.
Yeah. Or like you can book with a group. So like if you've got a girls' weekend or a lads' weekend.
You've got a whole accommodation to yourself.
You've not got separate rooms. You've got like a 4-bedroom apartment. You can have a party. You can trash the place. You can lose your deposit. You know how it goes. But now I think people are reverting back to hotels because you've got the swimming pool, the sauna, the gym. So I don't think Airbnb is as popular as it once was.
That's interesting, to be fair. So how would you say the future is in terms of letting now, in contrast, obviously, everything that's occurred since lockdown to now that you've seen, and the Airbnb scenario?
We've got a new government in power, as we know. Yeah. So it's gone. We've had 14 years of Conservative. I think for part of that, it was Conservative and Liberal Democrat, wasn't it? The Condems, remember that?
Yeah, wasn't that with David Cameron? Yeah.
So that was 2010. Yeah. Then we've had Conservative. The game is about to change. I think Labour, historically, were there for the people. They're more like of a working class people's government. I think that's changed. But what I think they would definitely do is put rent caps in. There's been talks of it.
Oh, okay.
They're driving landlords out of the industry. So if you're like a small landlord, when I say small, I mean you've got a few properties, or you might be an accidental landlord, like you've inherited a property or you've moved in with your partner and now you can rent. So those types of landlords are not professional landlords. They just kind of fell into it.
Yeah, I can understand you.
I think a lot of them are going to be wiped out because there's a lot of restrictions. There's taxes that have gone up for landlords. So a lot of them are saying, I'm out of the game. It's too much. The professional landlords are the ones that will survive it and thrive, I think, who might be putting their properties into limited companies.
Who's actually got a portfolio.
It's a business.
Yeah.
So it's run as a business rather than just kind of ad hoc. Yeah. So I think they'll thrive, but I think the smaller landlords will be kind of washed away over time. That's what I think, which will then probably start to drive rents down because it's based on demand, isn't it?
Of course.
And the more supply there is, the rents go down. The less supply, the rents go up. There's less supply at the minute, but I think they're going to cap it. That's what I think. But who knows? Like, you look at the last few years, you would never predict what's gone on.
No,
you can't make predictions in this climate. Like, you just don't know.
It's like roulette, really, ain't it?
Literally. Back in the day, you could predict, and now
it's becoming harder and harder.
Yeah.
So, first-time buyers, have you had a lot of them recently, or?
So because I'm focusing more on the premium end of the market, they're not typically your first-time buyers, they're your upsizers. But I do have another arm to the business which does kind of service.
Look after that.
But I don't really promote it because I'm trying to kind of move away from it.
Yeah, of course.
But first-time buyers, there's lots of them.
Right.
I think there's still, lenders are dropping the rates, interest rates, so it's easier to get a mortgage. But there's been a period where, for some, looking at their earnings and the price of property and then the interest, it's been impossible to get on the ladder. I think that will start to change. Yeah.
It's interesting, to be fair, because I think during lockdown as well, even house prices were a bit shaky as well.
Yeah.
Like even to buy, if you were looking to sell in that period, it was mad, really.
Yeah.
So obviously you said you moved sort of away because the business sense more going towards premium. So what would you look for in a client for you to want to work with them to be able to sell their portfolio or their property, whether it's listed or if it's not listed or if it's a newly built luxury home?
So in a sense, I have two clients. One pays me, the other doesn't, but they're both my clients.
Okay.
One's the seller and one's the buyer. But I need the buyer so that I can get paid from the seller. So equally, even though, and a lot of agents put all their focus on the seller, but without buyers, you don't exist. So you have to treat your buyers right. Yeah. So I see both as clients. For me, I like my ideal client in terms of sellers would be someone that's probably like in a 5-6 bedroom detached house, Sutton Coldfield, which is my area, not exclusively, but that's where most of my focus is. Busy people. I don't like people to interfere. So if you've given me an instruction to sell the house, leave me to it. You know the ones that follow you around on view, well, you don't know because you're not in it, but the ones that are constantly over your shoulder or, you know.
Pestering you, constantly asking how's it going and stuff.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, follow up and feedback is important.
Yeah.
But you've got some who are too involved. They can actually crash the sale because they're too involved. So I like to go for people who are like business people who are too busy.
Yeah.
They just need someone to take care of it. Trust, build the rapport. They trust in me. They leave me to it. That's like my ideal client. Not to say everybody is like that. We all get challenging clients.
What was your most challenging client would you say you've had?
Oh, this dear old lady. She was so lovely. And when I first met her, I went to do evaluation. That normally takes me about an hour. I think I was there for 3 hours. She didn't want me to leave.
Really?
Yeah, she brought biscuits out, numerous cups of tea, telling me her life story. But, you know, I felt so bad. I didn't want to leave her. I think she was in her 80s.
Oh, bless her.
Polish heritage. Her husband had passed away. And she had so much attachment to her house. You know, it was an emotional process. So I think the emotional ones, I seem to get wrapped up into it. Like, I don't know. I think because I can be quite empathetic. Like, my heart's in it. So then I get caught up in the emotion of it. And then, so I have to detach myself. But as much as she was lovely, the time, every time, even viewings, I used to ask like a colleague to go because I knew I'd be there for hours. She didn't want me to, I think she saw me like a granddaughter or a daughter or something. Like, she just wanted to keep me there. So as much as she was lovely, it was a challenge because she was so emotional about selling.
Of course, and that's making it difficult for you now to do what you have to do.
Yeah. If you've been in a house for like 50 odd years,
It's a lifestyle.
you've lost your partner, you've built a life there together, it's a big move.
Right.
It's a huge move for a lot of people. So the more emotional it is for the person, the more challenging it is. But I'm there to hold their hand every step of the way through it. So, yeah.
That's actually, like, you don't really get estate agents that work, or people in development as yourself that would actually sit there and understand the courtesy of empathy. Like you said, like, a lot of people will just literally not treat the buyer right or the seller right and just get the job done, get their money and go. But you're actually given a full service, which is unique in itself.
I think for me, it's about relationship. Like, for a lot of it, you got to remember, and I don't know if you know this, I think you do, but I also have a training and consultancy business.
Yes, I was going to touch on that as well.
Okay. And we'll come to it. But through that, I understand the art of building a relationship and understanding, because it's about solving a problem.
Yeah.
Any business is there to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what business it is, you're there to solve a problem. And for me, once I understand the problem, for some it could be financial. They're not going to tell you that up front. That's going to take some trust building for them to say, look, this is the reality. I need to sell because I'm broke. It's hard to say that.
Yeah, it is.
You know, for some it's relationship breakdown. There's many reasons. And for some it's a positive thing because they've outgrown the house. They've got a family now and they need a bigger house. So but that's still a problem because they haven't got enough space. So I have to understand my client's problem so that I can craft a solution that solves it.
Yeah, of course.
And that even though it's selling the house, it's how I do it.
I get that.
And that's the niche.
What actually made you get into the whole journey of properties and stuff before we touch on consultancy? Like, so what made you one day suddenly decide this is the career path that I want to go to and this is why, and to build it to the level that you have now, which is as an independent person as well in business, doing it on your own back, it's really impressive, to be honest.
Oh, thank you. It's been a long journey. Property has always been, I call it the golden thread throughout my entire life.
Right.
So, well, not the day I was born, but, you know, when my career started. So I started in social housing when I was 19.
Really?
So, yeah, that's where I started. And my entry in, my dad sat on the board for a housing association. And I remember work experience.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, where am I going to go? And you're frantically thinking, and you've got 2 weeks and you need to find somewhere. And my dad, because he was a board member, board members get kind of like favors and people will open doors for you because it's a prominent position.
Of course.
So the housing association that he was on the board for gave me the 2 weeks work experience.
Wow.
And because my dad's a board member, they made it the best 2 weeks work experience. I had such an amazing time. So I was in school, I think I was 15.
Yeah.
Once I did that, I just got a feel for housing. Like, I really enjoyed it. So when I left school, like, I went to grammar school. So highly academic, like, they pushed you hard. And although I'm good academically, I don't enjoy it. I'm business, like, I'm about creative strategies, like
thinking, getting things done. Yeah.
So I was expected to go to uni, be a doctor, lawyer, or one of the top 5 careers.
Yeah.
And I wasn't feeling it. So from then I was a rule breaker. So I left school as one of 3 in the whole school year that didn't do sixth form. Because you didn't have to then, because I could leave at 16. So then I went through 16 to 19. I went off the rails, started doing mad stuff, as you do, going with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Life experience. Come from grammar school, felt institutionalised. I wanted to break free. Like, I couldn't stand the structure and the rules, but I'm thankful for it now looking back because it gave me a good start.
Yeah.
Then at 19, once I'd had that work experience 3 years prior, I went back into social housing as a trainee.
Oh, wow.
So it was Focus Housing then. You probably don't remember it because it's Midland Heart now. They merged with Focus Housing and Midland Area, merged and formed Midland Heart.
Okay, yeah.
So I spent 7 years in social housing. So I did that. So left at, 26? And then I've been self-employed ever since. Went into a youth engagement company along with a business partner. We ran that until 2010. New government came in, funding got cut, we were broke. It literally went like that. We went like from being really successful, didn't look ahead, young in business, new to it, and hit rock bottom. That was like a big learning curve. At that point, a friend of mine who I used to work with in housing had set up an estate agency.
Okay.
He reached out and said, "What are you up to?" Great timing, like not much at the minute. Things have gone pear-shaped. He said, "Can you come and help me, do some consultancy for me? Because I've started an agency, but I've got no website, no structure, no CRM system. I'm just winging it." So then I went on board for a year as a consultant and learnt the ropes.
Oh, wow.
That's how it came about.
That's actually mad.
Yeah.
But seeing that period before he got in contact with you and said, "I want you to get on board with consultancy," and your business crashed, your first one that you did, that period there is an actual testing time. Like, a lot of people fold and break and all sorts. Like, how did you stay mentally strong in that moment for yourself? I
don't know. No, I think because I was still young, I didn't have, like, now I'm a mum, it would be different now.
Yeah.
I didn't have. Saying that though, I had a mortgage because I'd bought my first house. I bought my first house at 24.
Oh, wow.
And it was at the peak. It was 2006 when interest rates went mad. That
was literally when the recession was sort of occurring, right?
Yeah. Then, so you think interest rates are crazy now? Then I think I was like 7 point something %. Now it's like 5%, and we're talking about the high. So I was trapped. But again, I was young, naive, didn't really understand it. Bought the house. Put down 3% deposit, unheard of now.
Yeah.
You never get a house with 3% deposit. You could buy 100% mortgage those days. Like, you didn't even need a deposit. Yeah. You could get away with 100% more. Self-cert as well. Things have changed. So I had to move out of my house, rent it because I couldn't pay the mortgage, and move back to my mum's. So it was hard because I felt like I'd gone from having success to now I'm here, and I'm like, how did this happen? Failing to strategize and look ahead. And that was where, so although it was hard, I was young and I could get through it, but I was thrown a lifeline. And I believe, it's all about relationships, because I had that relationship with my friend from work. He knew my work ethic, so that opened the door for me. Yeah, so it's a blessing.
So that's actually powerful, especially the fact that, like you said, you got a house at 24, 3%. I'm actually still shocked. 3%.
3% deposit?
It's unheard of.
I think, how much was that? I bought it for 87,500, 2-bed. Now it's probably worth about 200k. So it's,
And that's inflation.
it's doubled. But houses are meant to double every 7 to 10 years.
Are they?
But when you look at it over a long period of time, if you look at it over a 100-year period, then you'll see that on average, yeah. So it's taken longer to appreciate because I bought it at the peak.
Of its...
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to move on to our
Okay.
first segment of the show.
Guess the drink, sponsored by Crs&Kcks UK.
I'm going to give you a drink. It's non alcoholic.
Okay.
It is carbonated though.
Yeah,
If
that's
all right.
fine. No, that's fine.
You're just literally going to have to give a guess upon what flavour you think it is and what
Okay.
brand.
Well, it's blue.
Yeah.
So does that give any hints?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
Tastes like grapefruit. But it's
Grapefruit?
not. Bubblegum. I don't know.
Possibly.
Blueberry.
Does it have a hint of blueberry? I think it has a hint of blueberry, but I think there's something else in it as well. I don't know-
Berry.
Ooh.
Is it something berry? Raspberry. I don't know. It tastes fruity.
Fruity.
Yeah.
So we're going raspberry or blueberry, or is it in between sort of cross?
Let me try. Blueberry. Raspberry. I don't know. Mixed fruit.
Right, I see. So it actually is raspberry with citrus flavour and ginseng.
Yeah, that's what I
So-
said. No, but I did say it's got what did I say? A grapefruit.
You did say grapefruit.
Yeah,
So which is basically
citrus.
Yeah.
I said raspberry.
Yep.
Yeah.
And ginseng it's kind of hard to get that one,
Yeah,
to be
come
fair.
on, who's gonna get that?
You can't really taste ginseng. It's just Mountain
nice,
Dew.
though.
Get from Crs&Kcks.
Mountain Dew, that's what it is, because they do a green one.
Yeah, that's the UK original one, do you
Yeah,
remember? They
yeah.
used to do the in the cans and in the bottles.
But that's the thing. I was actually going to say Mountain Dew, and I thought it's not Mountain Dew.
Like as I was saying, ginseng's obviously in it as well, but
Yeah.
can't really tell much about flavours when it comes to ginseng.
If you'd have asked me what's the drink and not
Yeah.
the flavours, I think I would have said Mountain Dew.
Would you?
No, do you know what I would have said? It reminds me of because it's blue. That just
It just threw you off
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you're thinking, oh, it could be like a Fanta berry or something.
Yeah,
Like
because I used to drink Mountain Dew all the time.
Really?
It's big in the Caribbean as well.
Yeah,
So when
is
I
it?
go to Jamaica, that's my drink. Yeah, honestly. So,
It's mad though, wouldn't you say, with drinks as well? Like, I think going back, what 7 years now, like people used to have you'd have your normal Fanta lemon or something or whatnot. But then now you've got all these American flavours that have come in now and everyone's having all these sort of flavours. You can't even keep up now with
Yeah.
what's what.
there's so many. I mean, now I'm older. I see my son want to drink these. I'm like, no. Too much sugar. Do you know what I'm saying? When you're young, you don't think about them things. But
All them sedatives and all that.
E. That's all you're seeing on the back of the can. And especially because obviously LXG Barber Lounge, big up LXG
Yeah,
Barber
big up
Lounge.
LXG.
I think they get drinks from Snack-a-Tack.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
So the amount of drinks, so when my little one goes into the shop, he's like in the fridge trying to get drinks, and I'm saying, no, like it sends him up the wall like hyper.
It's bouncing
The
across the
sugar,
walls and
yeah.
everywhere.
You know, before bedtime, nah. Not that one. But yeah.
So speaking of your consultancy, moving on to that now. Obviously, you said your breaking consultancy was with a person that you built a relationship with, and you developed the ropes from there. So then, what made you add that arsenal onto your artillery of business that you added on?
It's quite, so that, even though that was consultancy, that was my entry into a state agency.
Oh, so as a whole, it was
Yeah, very
Okay.
different. Two separate businesses.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was, he brought me in because I wasn't employed. He just wanted me to come in like a consultant to
Yep.
basically shape the business, get it all set, get systems in place, recruit staff. I did that and then I left once it was running. Then I thought, hold on, I can do this. Like I've done it myself. Like I've done it for him. He's another part of Birmingham. So there was no competition. I'm not treading on his toes.
Yeah.
So that helped me see. But on the other hand, I've got a training and consultancy business, which is completely separate. It's not property related.
okay.
Yeah. So how did that start? So you remember I mentioned my first business, which was a partnership.
Yes.
That was all around youth engagement. So what happened, we used to put events on. Initially, it was about getting young people off the street. It's when knife crime was at a height, even though It still is, yeah. But it was we're talking like 2004, 5, 6, 7. And we were just passionate. We were young and passionate about young people. Now, I don't know if they listen to me, but at them times I could blend. So that business was really my entry point, because what happened when it crashed, instead of us delivering the programs on the ground, like housing associations would pay us like to do a project with young people on their estates, for example, where we'd get them off the street, get them involved in something positive. And what I then started to do was package up what I'd learned, but then train them on doing it. So I was like, okay, you can't pay the thousands of pounds, but you can pay me £600-700 for the day to train you on what to do, and then you go out there and do it. So that's where that came from. Then around the same time, 2010, 2011, I met a guy called Akin Thomas. I was introduced to him. He is the CEO of AKD Solutions, which is a learning and development consultancy based in London. So we were introduced. I ended up becoming one of his associates, and I still am. So through my business, I've delivered training in Nigeria, Paris, Brussels, Madrid, lots of places in Europe, Germany, and all over the UK.
So it's literally enabled you to travel the world with just
delivering training, which team building, for example. Nigeria is a company called Lafarge Holcim. They produce cement. French company based in Lagos. Their top 100 leaders had like a big summit. We were commissioned twice. We've done this 2 different trips to come in and basically do team building training for their top 100 leaders, because 2 companies had merged, Lafarge and Holcim. So we were commissioned to come in and like basically create an environment where they could all build a good rapport and obviously work more effectively together. So that's one example. That's just one. There's many, but I do team building, diversity and inclusion, leadership, cultural change, customer experience, to name a few.
And that's not even all of them. So it's actually mad. I think the thing for me is like, it's actually enabled to travel to like different continents of the world and deliver information and provide worth to others and engagement as well. But also you're enabling yourself to see the world as well on a positive note as well. From like, what's the most surrealist one would you say you've done? Like, obviously I know you've done so many. Maybe there's some you've done NDAs for that you can't discuss, but
no, I can discuss them all. What's the best one, did you say?
Yeah, like for yourself, that's like, oh wow, like I've done consultancy for, I don't know, for so-and-so, or...
There's quite a few. Like I've just finished one for Siemens.
Oh, well, as in like the company Siemens that used to do phones and stuff.
Yeah. Well, they do a lot more than phones,
no, obviously now, but
technology. So that was a 9-month program for junior managers from Black and minority ethnic communities, basically non-white junior managers, to help them, because they recognise a lot of people at junior level, there's diversity, but then when you go higher up in the company, it's white, middle-aged men, literally. So they recognise that to tick diversity, not to tick diversity, but to create more diversity and inclusion, that people need to be empowered.
Of course.
So we did a program. I was working with 2 other associates for them. I've worked with Sony.
Wow, Sony.
Tesco. I've trained Tesco. Who else have I trained? Warner Brothers. Many times. I've done lots for Warner Brothers. There's been a lot of big names, a lot of big law firms as well. So that's taken me to Paris and Brussels and lots of companies. I'll be honest, there's been lots of big name companies, but a lot of that has come through AKD Solutions. So it's their clients, but I've been commissioned to deliver for them. And then if you do a good job, they want you back again, because there's lots of trainers.
Of course.
But once you build a rapport, it's like today I had an email from Yorkshire Housing. I just did a program, I finished in April for them around cultural change within the company, which was nice because it's housing and that's my thing.
Of course.
So I thought the program was done. I saw an email this morning saying, can I come back in September to do some sessions with execs and leaders, so that they call you back. If you do a good job, it's ongoing.
And that goes back to what you said earlier in the conversation. It's about relationships.
Exactly that. That's what I've learned. If you ask me one thing I've learned in my whole in my journey of business, relationships, build rapport, build trust.
Mm-hmm.
And once people, they say know, like, and trust you, they'll always have you back, even when you mess up, because we all do sometimes. We make mistakes.
We're all human, yeah.
But if they know, like, and trust you, then you've got a client for life. And that's how it works.
That's actually great. So what have we got coming up that people can look forward to in terms of the property and the consultancy? Is anything we can like know about it? Oh, say for example, if someone's watching it now that needs consultancy for their, I don't know, their brand, their company, or whatever, how can they get in contact with you for that as well?
So for the training and consultancy, it's more corporate clients I work with, so who have like a workforce.
Of course.
So yeah, they can get in touch with me. Well, through my socials, that's probably the easiest way. I don't know if you want to share them at the end or something.
Pop up across.
Yeah. So reach out. And in terms of what's coming up in the plans, as you know now, it's about family is my number one priority.
Of course.
So I've got 3, I guess, core pillars in my life. 1 is family.
Yeah.
2 is rebuilding a state agency, because I've come back in. It's only been 6 months. I'm back in this. And the 3rd is my training and consultancy. Those are my 3 key areas. But for the next year, I'm focusing on building the estate agency back up again and getting that established, because that's my business then that I can step away from, and it runs without me, whereas my training requires me in the room.
Yeah, of course.
I'm exchanging my time for money, whereas I just want residual now, you know.
Which makes sense to me, I suppose.
That's the goal.
Oh, another question I forgot to ask you, actually, sorry, was how do you find balancing family time with your busy lifestyle of work? Because, like, no, you're very busy. Like, you're very busy. So how do you find that me time where you're keeping it for yourself, your family, and then obviously balancing work as well? Because, it's the scales are mad.
I'm still trying to figure it out. Do you know, as much as possible, sometimes my son rolls with me. It doesn't always work out brilliantly, but like if I'm doing viewings at a property, sometimes I got to bring him with me. It's just how it goes. We're a package. But I'm trying to master the art of being present. So whatever I'm doing, I'm fully focused on that. So if I'm in business mode, I'm focused on that. If I'm in family mode, laptop shut, I'm not looking at my phone. It's about that. And I find that if you give that quality time to each area, it's much more effective than trying to quickly check an email or quickly do this while I'm sat with my son, or that doesn't work for me. So it's putting boundaries in place where I'm like time blocking. That's the best way I can describe it, where like between these hours on this day, I'm doing this so I have to have structure. Otherwise everything just merges into one. And then I end up feeling like I'm failing in all areas because I'm not giving my time or attention to anything, you know. Yeah,
of course.
But I'm still learning, I'll be honest. It's not easy. Is there such thing as balance?
Who knows?
Do you know, like, does anybody have it bagged? I don't know. I don't think so. I think everyone struggles.
I think it's good that you've had the whole function of, like you said, like you'll make sure there's a time blocked out and laptop, phones, everything's away. So the outside world is not interfering with your time with the family or whatever you're doing at the moment, which is good and healthy, man.
It takes practice, it's discipline. And sometimes I find myself like just quickly check and then I have to remind myself.
Yeah.
So it's not, I'm not saying I've perfected it, but it's what I'm trying to do. Of course. And it's kind of, I'm seeing the results. So yeah. Right.
The next segment of our show before we end is called
Top 5 Crepes.
So you don't have to have top 5 crepes. It could be your top 5 shoes.
Yeah.
But what are your top 5 to go to on a day-to-day or whatever you're doing?
You know, it's quite interesting because if you'd have asked me this like 5-6 years ago, I'd be like, crepes, I don't wear crepes. I was in heels. See, when lockdown hit, I remember after a year of not wearing heels, putting on heels, I couldn't walk. I remember it was my friend's birthday. It would have been July 21.
Right.
And I got out the car. We were going to Fumo in the city centre. And I couldn't walk in my heels. I was like, nah, what has happened? Like, I've lost the knack. Now, like, I'll wear heels, but not as often, nowhere near as often. So I do now wear crepes, but
Yeah.
I'm not like a crazy fan of anything. I just like neat. So I'm more of a Kurt-Geiger girl. Like
Okay.
over sports because they're neat. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those neat style. I don't like chunky, fat looking.
Like the clean sort of formal that
Yeah,
can blend in
yeah.
between casual, smart sort of feel.
That's exactly it. So I've got a few pairs of Kurt-Geiger, but then at the same time, I like Huaraches, even though getting them on your feet can be a mission. To put on gloves and slip your foot or a horseshoe, because it's a mission to get them on your feet.
They are, yeah.
And I say I admire, but they don't suit me. I like Jordans and I like Air Force Ones, but they just don't suit me.
Not even Jordan's like.
They're just, I think because I'm short, I'm 5'3". So like, you know, when you've got trainers that are quite high, they make you look even short. They make you look even shorter. I think you need to have like long legs to carry them off. That's just my thoughts, but I admire them on other people.
Yeah.
I've got one pair of Air Force Ones. I never probably wore them twice because I just think my feet just look flat, like, and long with my short legs. It just doesn't flow. So,
Yeah.
but I've got into Uggs lately.
Really?
Yeah, they're the most comfortable shoes. Like, I say shoes, you know, like the
Slip-ons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know which ones.
Oh my God, I love them.
A lot of people say this, but when I look at them, I think, I don't know.
Not the boots. They
Yeah.
can get a bit leaned off
Yeah.
and look a bit, but the
slip-on ones, yeah.
Yeah, they're the most comfortable, honestly.
Over Crocs all day.
All day. And when I used to wear Crocs throughout lockdown again, and like my partner Rodney, he'd be like, "Why do you wear those things?" Because they're fat and ugly, aren't
Yeah,
they?
so he's thinking, oh, what are they? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is an interesting collection, to be honest, and we will be showing them. And with the Kurt-Geiger ones, actually, it makes sense because you want casual, you want smart, you want to pull it off in no matter where you are, and comfort above all else.
That's it, yeah. And they're just neat. They're nice.
But yeah, Rodney, there's nothing wrong with Crocs, man.
Tell him again.
There's nothing wrong with them, bro. Like,
Do you wear them?
I've got a pair, yeah. I'm not gonna. You know what? Actually, when it comes on, when NXG Barbers comes on, I'll be wearing a pair in front of him. I just want to see his reaction.
You're gonna get loads of charms on me.
Yeah, I'll just for him. Right, Mal. Before we wrap up, give them your social media. Let them know where they can find you.
Yeah.
And anything else you want to hit them with, by all means, take the centre stage.
I mean, if you just search Melissa Shervington, 1L I think you're going to put the captions on anyway, yeah?
Yeah.
So, on Instagram, Facebook. I'm not active on TikTok. I need to get that set up. Also have a website, melissashervington.com. Then for the estate agency, again, it's, if you just search melissa.shervington_property.
Okay.
My business is called Amity Unique Homes, AMITY. And that's the same for the website. So yeah, just Google it and something should pop up.
Perfect. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure
been
always.
Great conversation.
For watching Wraith Talks, make sure you like, subscribe and comment.